Hey guys, welcome back to Minecraft The Lost Journals. Today we're going to be reading chapter 10, which is titled, To the Victor Goes the Spoiled Meat. Starts on page 92 and goes to page 97. If you guys have enjoyed Minecraft The Lost Journals so far, make sure you hit that subscribe button to hear more. Without further ado, chapter 10. Allison was famished. Max had cooked for them, proudly showing off his new skills with the furnace. And she had never eaten anything as good as the chicken that dropped from the mobs. She tried not to think that she had recently looked this chicken in the eye, but then again, the chicken and its jockey had tried to kill her. So she had every right to defend herself and eat the spoils of war. Freya had cooked some rotten meat for her wolf over by the window so that the smell wouldn't permeate the room. She tossed several charred green pieces to the happy pets as she told her story. This is Bunny Biter. I've had her since she was a pup. She was deathly afraid of rabbits, Freya laughed. She'll bite the head off of a baby zombie, but show her a long-eared hopping thing and she runs away. I named her Bunny Biter, hoping it would give her some confidence, but it didn't help. Then we found out that there aren't any rabbits here anyway. But the name stuck. She tossed the last bit of meat to the bunny biter and wiped her hands on her pants. So, are you two brother and sister? Max and Allison shared a glance, and then Allison said, No, not exactly. I moved in with Max's family when I'm not on my own now. Her throat suddenly felt swollen, and no more words would force themselves out. Freya frowned and sat down next to Allison at the table. What do you mean? She asked. Allison didn't answer. Max looked up at her and then back at Freya. Creeper attack blew up her whole house, wiped out her family. She's the only survivor. The only survivor, Freya said quietly. She took a breath and it caught her in her throat. I'm really sorry. She got up and turned back to them, breathing deeply. Allison cleared her throat and took a deep breath. Max's family took me in. They live nearby my old house. I mean, not nearby here. Nothing is nearby here. Freya still didn't turn around. Allison looked at Max, who shrugged. But but you knew that, right? Our families were friends, and they let me live with them. She finished, wishing she hadn't gone on that tangent. Are you okay? Max asked, looking at Freya. She didn't turn around. Freya, he said. Yeah, she said brightly and turned around. Her cheeks were red and her eyes were wide. Allison studied her, tilting her head. Are you okay? He repeated. Oh, I thought you were talking to Allison, she frowned. Are you okay? Yeah, I think I will be anyway, Allison said. Thanks. That was good of you, Freya said to Max. She was talking faster than normal. It's good to have friends. She had a far away sad look in her eyes. What about you? How did you end up here? Allison asked. Freya blinked and snapped back to the present. Right, well, my family were travelers. They liked wandering around and exploring. We'd arrive in the area, build a basic house there, learn about the area, visit the villages, whatever, and then move on. She chuckled. My mom always said we're planting cabins like other people plant trees. Allison wondered if Freya was attached somehow to the enchanter, but if she was, Max would have been far more interested in her now. Now he stared out the window at the patrolling mobs from far below the cliff. Anyway, my dad said we had explored all biomes in the overworld and got it in his head that we needed to explore the nether. He got obsidian from his dealer, who lives near a lava flow, and got plans for a portal. He spent our entire savings to do so, and we came here. Where's your portal? Max asked eagerly. Freya shrugged. I don't know. It's probably still around somewhere. But we got here a while ago. Mom mapped out our path so we could get back. But when we found a bunch of blazes, or they found us, same thing that happened to you. She chewed on her lip for a moment. I I made it out alive. The map was on Mom when she Freya cleared her throat and then continued, and I had to run. I had Bunny Biter and my bow and my armor and that apple, she added, pointing to an apple sitting atop a stone table in the corner that Allison hadn't noticed yet. I'm so sorry, Allison said. I know how you feel. Freya kept staring at the apple, a friendly bright red that stood out against all the dark red gray around them. So, you haven't eaten it yet? Max asked, frowning. Allison stared at him. That's what you think is important, really? He shrugged. If it's the only fruit around here, then yeah, maybe. It reminds me of them, Freya said defensively. Allison had a necklace of her mother's and some old letters of her father's. She hadn't thought of saving food, but she hadn't had to. I think you'd want to eat any food you can in a place like this, Max continued. And I think you wouldn't come through a portal without being fully prepared to deal with another. But we all make weird decisions in our lives, Freya snapped. What do you do for water? Allison asked, trying to defuse the growing tension. It doesn't spawn here naturally, right? Freya laughed and wiped at her cheeks. Oh, yeah, there's no water here. I was in charge of carrying all of the water. When I took over this place, I found a few cauldrons of water and made some more. I stored them inside a room. She pointed to a door on the wall opposite the secret tunnel. If I meet another traveler, I figure I could try to barter with them for more water. It's worked before. Why haven't you gone home? Max said quietly. You said your portal was still out there. Aren't you even trying to find it? Freya looked down at Bunny Biter, who looked up hopefully to see if she had found any more zombie pigman bites to feed her. This is home now, she said. I have Bunny Biter. I have a house. I have a mushroom farm. But that doesn't make any sense, Max said. This is the Nether. No one lives here. I have nothing, Freya cried. My family was all I had. No one's waiting for me in the overworld. I know how to survive here. Why not stay? Allison stared at her, finally coming around to Max's point of view. She pointed out the window and looked at Freya. Why not stay here? There are about a million reasons. Your water is going to run out. There's a lake of fire, mobs of chickens, and zombie pigmen. The fact that you can't enter rooms in your own house. Because, oh, well, there are many deadly mobs on the other side of the door. And eating nothing but mushrooms and whatever you can hunt off a deadly monster for the rest of your life? Are you insane? She looked back out into the canyon where one jockey-less chicken still wandered around, peeking sadly at the patch of the soul sand. Max came away from the window, rubbing his ear like he did when he was thinking. Allie's not wrong, he said to Freya. No one in their right mind would want to live here. He looked back at Allison with uncharacteristic maturity in his eyes. But Allie, he said, his soft voice, where in your right mind? Where in your right mind when your parents died? Were you in your right mind? Allison's jaw snapped shut as she thought about that terrible day. The treehouse obliterated, the sheep escaped, her parents, sister, grandmother nowhere to be found. Common sense had been to find a neighbor, get help searching what was left of the house, looking in the area for injured family members. Instead, she had numbly gone after the sheep. Soon after, Max's frantic mother and Mr. Hatch found her. They had heard the explosion, and we were doing the right thing in the situation, searching for survivors. Allison had just wandered off, being useless. I have to get the sheep into the pen, she said. Her eyes had felt very wide, and she stared at the adults, not focusing on them. Max's mom had looked at Mr. Hatch for one anguished minute, and then carefully wrapped Allison in a hug. That's when she allowed herself to cry. Allison shook her head to clear it of the memory, wanting to physically push it away. She glanced at Freya, who was petting her wolf and pointedly ignoring Max and Allison. No, I'm sorry, Allison said. We can leave in the morning. Freya looked up at them, confusion scrawled across her face. Leave? Why would you leave? You'll die out there. She shook her head firmly. No, you're staying here with me. I'm going to show you the fortress, the safe rooms. She added at the look on Allison's face, because I think you're really going to want to see the special room. The special room? Max asked, his hand closing around the hilt of his new sword. Allison wasn't even sure if he knew he was doing it. Freya nodded confidently. Oh, yeah, that's where the fun stuff is. That wraps up chapter 10. I hope that you guys enjoyed. And if you did, hit that like button, and I will see you next time.